In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a mail merge document. A mail merge document is really combining a letter or a document that has constant data along with field names with a second document called a data source that contains the information that will change from document to document when you merge the two together. Now what you see in front of you is a letter, Phoenix Rising, and you can see where I don't have the address, I don't have the greeting, but I do have some things that are constant here. So I have the body of the letter that is consistent from one client to the next. I also have the closing as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use this current document to do a mail merge. That way I'm not having to create this letter, let's say 10 times if I have 10 clients that I'm sending this to. Now an example how you could use it is if you're sending out letters to potential employers, some of the information would be the same, but other pieces of information would be different, such as who you're sending it to, the position you're applying for, and even the job description. Other than that, most of the other parts of that letter would be the same. So let's go ahead and let's do mail merge. I'm going to go ahead and click on mailing. From the mailing tab, this entire tab is dedicated to three things: envelopes, labels, and then the rest of these deal with mail merge. Now, I always tell students the best way to start learning how to do mail merge is to click on the Start Mail Merge button. The reason why I would have you go through this method and I would have you do the step-by-step is because it does walk you through the 6 steps on how to do this. Otherwise, if you want to do mail merge, you can create multiple letters, multiple emails, envelopes, labels, a directory list, or just change it back to a normal Word document and not maintain it as a mail merge document. We're going to go ahead and do step-by-step mail merge. So I'm going to click on step-by-step mail merge. And you can see on the right-hand side we have the mail merge pane. Now this is actually going to take us through 6 steps, so you want to make sure you read from top down. So you'll see where it says select document type. What type of document are you working on? And again, we're just going to go ahead and indicate letter. And then this just gives you a description in the second part. Down at the bottom, this is step 1 of step 6, so we're going to click on Start Document. Now with step 2, it says Select Starting Document. Use the current document, which is what you see on the screen, or you can start from a template or open an existing document if you don't have it open at this time. We're going to go ahead and click on Next, Select Recipients. Now the second item, remember I said, is that you actually have 2 documents that you're working with: a main document, which is what you see in front of you, and then a data source, which contains the pieces of information that will change from letter to letter. So we can use an existing list, select from our Outlook contacts, or type a new list. And we're going to go ahead and type a new list. Now notice how the second half changes when I chose type a new list. If it were an existing document, then when it would want me to browse to where that file is located. I'm going to go ahead and choose again type a new list, and then I'm going to go ahead and click create. Now at this point you'll see the new address list dialog box, and this is where you're going to type the variable pieces of information that will be placed and merged with this main document. And also this is where you can create what we call your field names. Field names are these items up here at the top, these column headings that indicate the type of information listed below. Now if you don't like the ones that currently come with Word, and these are the defaults right now, alright. Some of these you may not need, others you may need. Let's go ahead and click on Customize Columns. And this is a list of the field names. And what a field placeholder is, it just identifies the piece of information from each record that will go in that particular location in the main document. We'll go ahead and keep the title there because that could be the Mr., Mrs., Ms., so that could be the surname. First name, last name. We're going to go ahead and remove the company name. So the first thing you want to do is remove what you're not going to use from the predefined list. So you select the field name that you want to remove and then click on delete. And then we're going to keep address line 1 and 2 just in case they have a 2-line address. We'll keep city, state, and zip. We don't need country, so we'll go ahead and press delete. We don't need the home phone number. We don't need the work number. And we don't need the email address. Now, if you've got some additional pieces of information that will vary from letter to letter, this is where we're going to add those field names. So in the previous example I'd stated, if you were sending out letters to potential employers, where you may add a field would be the position that you're applying for or the job description. In this case, we're going to go ahead and just create a new field here. So I'll click on Add, and I'm going to go ahead and type the name. Well, let's just go ahead and say this is going to be the account rep. When you do field names, let me go ahead and just let you know that I'm going to put a space in there. Keep it short and sweet, but make it obvious what that piece of information represents. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Now, the second thing you want to do, folks, is you actually want to place these fields in the order that you're going to do the data entry. So if you're looking off of an application, a hard copy application, you're going to want these fields to be in the order that you're going to be doing the typing, not necessarily the order you're going to be using them in the letter. So we'll go ahead and keep it this way, but just so you know, you can move your fields up and down. That way it makes the data entry go a lot faster. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And now at this point, if you look at the field names or the column headings at the top, you can see the account reps at the end, and the other fields are missing because we don't need them. So let's go ahead and just type some information here. So I'll type Miss All right, now as I'm typing, when I want to go to the next field or the next column, you just press the Tab key. And then if there's pieces of information that's not required for a specific field, you just press Tab again to move over to the next one. And then in this one, we'll go ahead and put. Now, when you're ready to do the second record, which basically means the second letter, you're going to press the Tab key, and notice how it moves down to a new row, and you'll see the triangle to the left, which is indicating this is the new row that you're actually typing in. So let's go ahead and type something else here. Go ahead and type. We'll make this a department number 2. And then let's go ahead and add one more. We'll just do two letters at this point. Let's go ahead and do. Yep. Okay. Now, if I press the Tab key, I end up with a third record, but since I only want to do this for 2, just for the video only, here's what's going to happen. It's actually going to give me a third letter with nothing in it other than the data that's in the main document. So keep in mind that if you don't want this third record, because again it's blank, you want to get rid of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click on Delete Entry at this point. And we only have 2 records for this mail merge. Again, you'd probably do this for more than 2, but just to give you an idea of how you actually create the fields and do the data entry. Now at this point I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And this is the part that you guys really have to pay attention to. What really happens is Word will create an Access database to store your records. And you can tell that it creates an Access database because if you take a look where it says Save as Type, you see the MDB extension. That is the extension for an Access database. Now, the other thing I want you to note, look in the address bar at the top. By default, it saves it in My Documents underneath My Data Sources. When you're doing mail merge, make sure that you know where you're saving that second file, which is the data source. Now, for this purpose, I'm going to go ahead and save it in a chapter folder that we're working on. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate to my chapter folder. Go ahead and I'll go to my chapter 16. Now, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and click in the file name. And again, keep in mind it is saving it as an Access database. So if you have anything in a folder that you're saving this file to, keep in mind you're only going to see those files that are database files. Now I'm going to go ahead and name this PR. Let's do a capital R. LTR. Here's what I like to do. I like to put DD at the end to indicate data document. You can do DS, whatever you want. Just come up with a system that identifies this goes with a particular letter, but it is the data source, not the main document. Now I'm going to go ahead and click Save. Now your book, if you're going through this with me in class, may indicate to save it something else. Just follow the book instructions. But this is something I've done and I continue to maintain using DD for a data document. Now, one of the other things you're going to see that's going to pop up is mail merge recipients. It's going to just identify these records and where the data file is as far as the file name. I can also do some filtering as well. Let's say if I just wanted to send this to only those clients in Ohio, I could filter on the field Ohio. I can find certain ones. I can go ahead and sort A to Z, whatever you want to do at this point. And you'll also see where it has the data source down below. I can edit it. I can refresh this if I think I've added some records and they're not showing up. At this point, we're going to leave this the way it is and just go ahead and click OK. Now on the right hand side, you can see where it says write your letter. So we're ready for step 3. So we're going to click write your letter. And because the letter actually already exists, we already have the text in there, we're good to go. We're just going to add the second piece of information that shows up in the main document, which are the field names. Now, when you're inserting field names, keep in mind these are just placeholders that identify the column that you're going to be pulling the actual information from that data source file. So on the right hand side, you'll see where it has address block, greeting line, electronic postage. One of the things you can do, and this is what I like about Word, it will group all together all of those parts of an address. Now if you've changed the name of those fields, such as address 1, address 2, let's say you just said ADD1, you're going to have to connect it to the original address 1 field name that Word uses. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and move down underneath, and we're going to go ahead and click on this address block. Now, when you choose these blocks, and again it's just grouping together all of the fields that would represent something like an address, you're going to go through a series here of screens, and this is because it wants to see how you want to actually display the information. So on the right hand side you can see it's pulling the information from the first record to give me a preview of what it's going to look like as an address block. And if I decide that I want to just go with their first name, last name, I could just go ahead and choose first name, last name. You can see how it changes on the right hand side. I'm going to go ahead and just so you know something else, when I mentioned about address blocks, if you're missing some pieces of information, it could be because you changed the name of the fields. Remember, they call those columns. If that were the case, you would have to click on match fields and identify what was normally address 1 if you changed it to something different. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out since we didn't change any of those. We'll go ahead and click OK. Now at this point, what you see in the main document, you'll see arrows and you'll see the name of the field. And I'm just going to press the enter key. And now I'm going to go ahead and do greeting line. And on a greeting line, this is where, again, it's going to allow you to pick and choose what you want for the greeting, how you want the greeting to display. And I'm going to go ahead and change this from a comma to a colon. And so you can see the preview below. Let me go ahead and click OK. Alright, and there's your greeting line. Now, if you want to add individual fields, and I'm just going to plug this in here individually, and I know this doesn't make sense with the way the text is typed in this document, but let's just go ahead and go with the concept of inserting fields here. Your new representative is, so now if I want to insert the field that had their representative name, because that's a field that I created that's not predefined by Word, I can't use any of these two items. I'm going to click on more items, and I'll see a list of all of my fields. I'm going to go ahead and choose the field that I want to use that has my account reps, and click insert. Now it's going to, and let me close this, it's going to insert it exactly where my insertion point was. I do need to press the period and the space bar, so I'm responsible for any spacing, anything that's not coming from that data source. If I wanted this person's name to be bold, what I would do is I would highlight and select the field name, and then I would go ahead and select bold. So then when it merges, it will actually make their account rep's name bold. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and click preview your letters. And when you do preview your letters, it's going to pull the information from the first record. And you can see the address block is now showing the address properly formatted. There's the greeting. I got an extra space in there, so I have to get rid of that extra space. And there's the rep's name. Now at this point, if I don't like how this looks, what I can do is we can go back and we can change it, but let me show you how we're going to do this, because right now this is just a preview. I'm going to go ahead and click on complete the merge, and at this point it says, do you want to print it or do you want to add the individual letters? Never print. You want to double check all of the records merged with the main document first. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back up here and click on mailings. And I want you to note that once I clicked on mailings, a lot of these command buttons now became available because I have created the database file and obviously the fields. I'm going to click on this button that says preview results to turn it off. And I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of one of the line spaces there. Let's say I don't want this person's name to be cap or to be bold. I'm just going to select it, and I'm going to go up to home and choose bold. And then I'm going to go back to mailings, and then I'm going to go ahead and choose preview results so I can see what it looks like. That looks much better. So let me go back and click on preview results so I can see the fields at this point. So now when you're ready, what you can do at the very top of your screen, or at your ribbon, excuse me, on the mailings ribbon, click on finish and merge, and I'm not going to print. I'm going to go ahead and choose edit individual documents. I want to use all the records in my data source file. I'm going to click OK and take a look at the middle, at the top middle of your title bar. It creates a generic name called letters 1, and now you can see the actual letters merged with the data source file, replacing the field names with the actual pieces of information. So there's the first record, and it just creates a page break, and there's the second record. So what you want to do now, you really have 3 files that are created at this point. The main document, and we'll just go ahead and go to the main document so you can see this is the main document. The database file, which obviously is not up in Word, but because it's an Access database, we can't open it in Word, but we can use it and tie it to a main document. And the third file that's created is your merged files, or your merged records at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and save this file. I'm going to do a file save as command. And I'm just going to save it in my chapter 16 file or folder, and I'm just going to call this PRLTR, and then I'm just going to just call it letter. That way if I want to go back and make changes to any of these individual letters, I can do that without having to redo the merge again. Let me go ahead and close this out. Now the other thing I want to bring to your attention is that if you guys are doing this for the first time with the main document and you haven't saved it yet, you do want to make sure you do a save as command and that you do give it a name. So let's just assume that I had named this and now I'm naming it PRLTR. I'm using MD to represent main document, and then click save. So don't forget to save your main document as well. And that's how you do mail merge.